welcome to Get the Word in Your Face International. This is Pastor Cheryl Jackson coming to you with a word from the Lord. God is good. He's good all of the time. He's our majesty on high. He's our righteousness. He's our faithful one. The Lord who is El Imuna, the faithful God, the creator of all the world. He is faithful. He is faithful. He is faithful. He's given us His word. He's given us His promise. He's sent His Spirit into our hearts to help us. And we can trust Him no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what news we hear. Greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. The Lord has promised to be our keeper. That's what the word says. The Lord is our keeper. He's the shade on our right hand. The sun wouldn't smite us by day, nor the moon by night. He would preserve our souls. He would keep us from evil. From penetrating your soul and taking you away from Him. You'll never be separated from God again. Because we said yes to Jesus, and we're not leaning on how we feel about anything today. We're running to the Creator, and we're submitting our heart to Him. We're submitting our mind, our will, our emotions to the Lord, and saying, here I am. Here I am. And the Lord hears us. He sees us. And if we know that He hears us, He will give us the desire of our heart. He will give us what we're asking for. If the feeling of depression is too much, I'm telling you, the Lord will give a song to your heart. And you take hold of that song. That song is your refuge and strength. It's who God is. You'll begin to sing that song. What is it? I speak Jesus. And you'll sing that song, and all of a sudden the power of the highest rises up in your heart, and you are lifted above the situation and circumstance that is so, bowed you over, crippled your mind, tried to pull you back into the flesh. God has separated us from the darkness of the world and brought us into the light, where we have consciousness of His will for our lives, where we can live and be filled with the knowledge of God, where we can work out and walk out our salvation in full view of the one who is our helper. He has preserved our soul by the blood of Jesus. By His very word, He has delivered us from the power of sin in this flesh. Sin brings separation from God, and we are no longer separated from God. We're in His presence forever because of what Jesus has done for us. He took sin and nailed it to the cross. We are finished. He said it Himself. It is finished. Christ finished us. He's the author and finisher of our faith. So we don't have to carry any burden in our mind. Whatever comes to trouble us, we can bring it before the Father of heaven and earth, who has mercy and grace to help us in our time of need. I'm just so tired of being swallowed up by the deception that is in the world. The deception in the world leans on its own understanding to get it done, to get whatever needs to be done. If the situation seems hopeless to them, then they'll act out their lives in such a way where, they have to get on drugs, they have to do alcohol, they have to do something that satisfies the flesh, that brings them deeper into darkness, into bondage, and they can never get out. The only way out is through Jesus. He's the one who took that sin and nailed it to the cross. Being my own God is not for me. I just can't do it. I need somebody to lean on. I think that's why we get married. You want somebody to lean on, somebody to love. We have children. We want somebody to love. We get dogs and cats. We want somebody to love, somebody to take care of. somebody to be there, something to be there. But the God of heaven and earth, he is not just there outside of you. See, you can't even figure out people's minds and what's really going on with them, but God reveals his mind to us. He's just not outside of us, but he's also in us. He's in our heart with us here on the inside. All we have to do is be still. All we have to do is sit down and, I'm telling you, breathe for just a minute. Just be quiet, be still 60 seconds and just breathe. Acknowledge the Lord. He's there. You can hear him. You can sense his holiness touching you. His presence is right there. The Lord loves us so much. He's not willing to leave you here. He's not willing to leave you in darkness. He's not willing to leave you in sin. He doesn't want you in any of that mess. The Lord is jealous for you. He wants you all for himself, and he doesn't want anyone else having you. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have families and we don't have children, but your heart and your soul belong to God. The people around you, if there's any influence, the influence is love. Just a quick reminder of what love really is. Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. Goodness. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Amen. Love never gives up. And that was 4-7. It never loses faith. It is always hopeful and endures through every circumstance. I really love that. Love endures through every circumstance. God sent his Spirit into our hearts, the one who reminds us of all truth. Whatever situation with our family, whatever situation with the world, the greater one who's in you is leading you, is guiding you. The Lord wants us to live in the knowledge of his will, and he sends his Spirit into our hearts, who reveals this knowledge. He reveals the heart and the mind of God, because we're being developed into the image of Christ. Spiritually speaking, we're already in the image of Christ, but the soul needs to be transformed by the renewing of its thoughts, of our feelings. The feelings need to come and submit to God. They need to rest, trust. The word is trust the Lord. What did it say over here in Psalm? Which one was it? Psalm 91, verse 2. It says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. I wonder how many times in the Bible it says to put our trust in God. In him will I trust. See, my hope is in the one who is our hope. He is our expectation. Everything about God. Sometimes when I say that, I wish I had words to explain. I need the words to explain that the greatness of who he is, so that we would live in him, casting every care that we have before him. I'm tired of getting confused over situations that are outside of my control. I can't control what's going on with other people. I can't control what's going on with family members and husband or wife or people in the world. I cannot control them. I don't know what's in their hearts and what's in their minds, but God does. Every person on the planet, there's not a thought he doesn't see. There's not a word he doesn't hear. There's no anything on this world that is not known of God. He knows it. And yet he knows how to keep your heart and mind through it all. Where we trust him. This salvation wasn't for, just a great, fabulous, peaceful, little, quiet life in this world. In this world, you will have trouble. In this world, we will be tested and we are tempted. It says it right here in the Bible. It says it in the book of James. It says that if you pass the test, dear brothers and sisters, verse 1, chapter 1, verse 2. When troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. I don't find that easy. But that's my mindset. But yet Paul talks about trouble being on every side, being pushed and shoved, and just all this crazy mess going on all around them. Yet they remain in Christ. They remain in peace. They keep taking all the care, all the weight of this. They understand who they are in God. And they understand the persecution that they're under. They understand the fire. This is like an invisible heat right now of trouble that comes to consume them so that they'll shut up and not proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. But they truly understand Romans 6:1-16. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it's the power of God unto salvation. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, the good news that God sent his son. Because it's the power of God unto salvation. It brings salvation, this good news. When I was a child at 8 years old, sitting in that Sunday school room, they didn't teach me about hell and damnation and judgment and flames of fire. They showed me the goodness of God. They revealed to me that God is. And then he sent his son to save us. It did. And love filled my heart. I mean, complete awe. The awe of God, the Creator, stepped into my heart. I wish, I could honestly wish that I had an understanding then of everything that I would walk through. But that was to be revealed at another time. But knowing our position in God and that we're loved. We are so loved by our Creator. He doesn't want anyone else to have you. And I gotta keep saying it in such a way that we understand that it's not that he doesn't want us. He wants us married. He wants us to have children. He wants all these good things that that he has for our lives. But nothing is to be an idol to you. No problem, no situation, no circumstance with our kids. We bring everything before our Creator. He saw it, he knows it, and we're not trying to work it out in our own strength. We're looking to him, the author and finisher of our faith, who knows how to walk out this. He knows what it takes to get through the situation and the circumstance and have peace in your heart, to have joy in your heart, to sing that song of praise to God regardless of what you're walking through. If Paul and Silas can be beaten for the gospel, thrown into the prison, and with blood and scrapes and scabs, they couldn't have had scabs, that they were new bruises and new contusions on their body. They began to sing and worship the Lord at midnight. And it shook The prison, there was an earthquake right there on that ground. And lives were changed. Again, because of their great faith, because of the trusting God. We have to put all of our trust in Him. It's okay. He will work out the situation. He will walk you through the circumstances, and you'll have your confidence. You'll have confidence towards God, His ability. He gave us His word, which is His promise. He sends that word into our hearts. Look at what the Amplified Bible says. Such hope in God's promises never disappoints us, because God's love has been abundantly poured out within our hearts through the Holy Spirit who was given to us. The Lord has put His Spirit into our hearts to remind us of all truth, so that whatever situation and circumstance should come our way, the peace that surpasses all understanding is right there. To keep your heart and mind, God will keep it, because we trust Him. He's our source. He's our Father. He's our mother. He's our all in all, our everything. So when I come back to that word of God being jealous for us, it's not that He's jealous of you. There's no way. In no way. Before the accuser that comes to steal our joy, God has given us joy. We have this joy of our salvation. He is the joy of our salvation. So when the enemy creeps up with a situation and he hits you in the head with it, and you go off with that suggestion and you're letting it run through your mind, something is dragging you away. It's tempting you and it's pulling you out of the course of your salvation. It's stealing you. The flesh, when it leans on its own understanding and goes in its own strength and its own way, is lifting itself up above God and saying, I don't need you. Even if you're worried and fearful and afraid, you're saying, I don't need you. Because being worried, fearful, and afraid, that comes out of the devil's kingdom. That's his will for our lives. That we would not trust God, but that we trust in ourselves and say that we have no hope. We have a hope that doesn't make us ashamed. We have everlasting life with God forever and ever and ever, and it's going to be great. No more sin, no more sickness, disease, sorrow, nothing, no weight of heaviness, nothing but goodness, the goodness of God, the glory of God, 24. Well, I don't know how the days work then, because there's no day and no night. I mean, there's no night. I don't know how all that works. All I know is going to be so good. There's going to be nothing that you don't like. All the feelings that overwhelm us in this life, that can keep on tempting us as we're breathing and living every day. Something comes to tempt. There's always some decision, something. I was thinking of this to myself before I got started, because I was having bad thoughts, evil thoughts. It just popped up. And I was saying to myself, it is so annoying that these thoughts keep, the way they come into your mind. And it's like the thoughts of mankind is continually evil. It's continual evil. And I'm tired of it. Greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. Those are the words that come out of my mouth. Because it's truth. The Lord of heaven and earth has put His Spirit in us. God has given us a part of Himself. God is Spirit, and we worship Him in spirit and in truth. We receive the truth. We're not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We take it and we make it our own. God has offered us salvation. Yeah, we're supposed to go out and affect the world, but what if the salvation that God has given us, that He's poured out into us, that He's surrounded us with? Salvation is God, right? What if we're not paying attention to? What if we're too consumed with the people we live with? What if we're too consumed by the situations that don't make any sense to us? What if we're too consumed with the pain and the rejection of our family and having no friends? What? What if we're too consumed with the stuff that we're not, that we've stepped out of the love that we once knew? God is desiring to work all things out together for our good, for the good of those who love Him. And if we love Him, we're casting our care before Him. We're an open book before God, inside and out. Whatever I think, I know He sees what I think. Whatever I say, I know He hears what I say, good or bad. The Lord is here. He's in my heart. He's with me. He's in the heaven, yet He's here in my heart. So I will regard Him, the Most High God, our Majesty on high. I will regard Him in every situation and circumstance. I'm not going to try to figure it out and figure it out and figure it out until I make something happen and I've got all this strife and this confusion and fearfulness and all this, sad, whatever. I don't want the works of the flesh. We have a hope that makes us not ashamed. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. And I will live in my salvation. Live in your salvation today. Let God be your strength. Let Him be your armor. He sent His word into your heart. There's your armor. Wear it by proclaiming it. Say it to the situation and the circumstances of your life. James chapter 1, verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. When your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and He will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. Amen. He wants to give it to you. I'm going to skip some of that. Verse 12. God blesses those who patiently endure testing and temptation. Afterward, they will receive the crown of life. Afterward, they will receive the crown of life that God has promised those who love Him. I gotta quit. But love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your strength. We were born to love Him. All His creation was born to love Him. And it's our choice to stay in His love. I want to remain in His love, deep in His love. I want to stretch my arms out and remain in that love. I want to look up and I can't see out of His love, because His love is everything for us. Trust the Lord today with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your strength. We have a hope that doesn't make us ashamed. God never disappoints us. He never disappoints us. This is Pastor Cheryl Jackson at Get the Word in Your Face International. Get the word in your face and love God, because I'm telling you, He loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye.